Coming out to this parent meeting. It's awesome to see community members that care. And we also want to just give a shout out to our city council members that have showed up. So thank you, and thank you for the service that you give for our community. Just really quick to introduce, I am Katie Knudsen. My kids go to William Penn, Evergreen and Olympus. And then I grew up in this area. I actually went to Olympus and my husband went to Skyline. So we know this area really well. We love it. We are grateful to be here, as many of you are. The reason we have put this parent meeting together and been doing what we've been doing is two main reasons. One is that we love our community. And I know many of you are frustrated because schools are being closed and you don't know what to do. And anytime a school is closed, it's a disinvestment to the neighborhood, and it's a disinvestment to our community as a whole. And we're with you. We're frustrated with schools closing, and we feel like we are not being represented, and we don't have a say. And so we would love to have more local representation. We feel like if a school needs to close, it should be those in our community gathering together to make that decision and do what's best in our neighborhood. We also, I know there's many of you that have other concerns with technology, with teacher pay. The list can go on and on. And if we had more local representation, then we could make those decisions. We could get creative. We could work together and find the right solutions for that. Taylor Davis has put together a presentation for you that we feel like is a solution. That as a community, if we unite and work together, that we can make this work for our schools, our neighborhoods, and our community that we love. So I'm going to turn the time over to him, and he will let you know what's going on.
Okay, I'm an energetic person. I'm not mad. I just get excited, and I like to talk. But I'm going to try to limit. I'm going to try to limit the way I'm going to try to structure this is I'm going to give a presentation about 20 minutes. I'm going to give just some quick concerns. I've talked to a lot of people about this, so I feel like I know. I'm going to give some, and then we'll open up to questions, because this is a community thing. This isn't my thing. I've said if the community doesn't want this, then I get to hang out with my kids more. So my wife is happier because I'm home more. That's what we're going to kind of go over today. I think the reason most people are here is because I think the catalyst of this obviously is the boundary study. If you went to the Olympus and Skyline meetings, you saw the demographic data, you saw that it's going down. You look around, you say there's less kids around, it just is what it is. It's a real problem. I don't have some magic bag of 500 kids that I can throw in the schools and say, your school's saved and we're all good. That's not what I'm here to talk about. So these are the schools that are in question. A concern for me is right off the bat, as this started to come out, people started like saying this school should close. You start to get in this funny attack mode, like it's Squid Game and who's going to get left and I'm going to win. And so that isn't the greatest, because I know people from all these schools. These schools are amazing. Watching it at the meetings, everybody loves their school and it's so fun. If you sit and listen to almost every question, it was like, can you please just not close my school? I heard very few complaints about the buildings. I heard very few complaints about split classes. I heard just complaints about we love our school. My kids love my school. We love the neighborhood. We love the fabric that's made there. At this meeting, I have multiple friends that were not for the community schools. I wouldn't know you. And so it's fun to see, and I get to catch up. And that's fun. So I'm going to pause real quick. I've run around in my brain. My name's Taylor Davis. My kids go to Rosecrest and Evergreen. I am actually Katie's brother. So I went to Crestview, I went to Olympus Junior and Olympus High. My wife went to Libby Edwards, rest in peace. And she went to Evergreen, and she went to Olympus also. So we're those nerdy people that just live right there, and we just can't get enough of it. The way I got involved in this is 2 boundary studies ago, I went to the meetings. And I'm one that likes to ask questions. So I sit there and I go, okay, I hear numbers like 27.25 per class. And I ask, where does that number come from? where do we get some of these details, these standards that we're setting our basis on? And so I started to ask questions, and I started to research school districts. And what I quickly found is there is a lot of variation of how you educate, not just in the state of Utah, but all over the country. And then if you go international, it's all over the place. So when anybody tells you like this is the way to teach kids, that's a bold statement, because there's a lot of directions you can go with education. Granite School District is 57,000 kids. I'll cover this a little bit. 57,000 kids. It's something like 85 schools. In the state, it's in the top, I think last time I checked, it's top 66 districts in the country. Well, there's about 14,000 districts in the country. So that tells you that a 55,000 student district is very large. So if you start asking people, that especially in the West, it's bigger districts. I think the biggest district in the country is in Clark County in Vegas. That's usually grown up. A lot of school districts started in the early 1900s. I'm actually reading Granite School District of History. It's 300 pages, and it's very interesting. The way Granite District got started is the schools were part of the churches. And so the church wards and the church states were how the schools were set up. They were just built around that. And the county came and they said, we want to band together and we want to build a district. As a county, what did the city say? They said, we don't want that. We want to represent ourselves. So Murray School District was created, Jordan School District was created, Granite School District was created, and Salt Lake School District was created. When Granite started, it was 5,000 students. It was built around Granite High. There was some schools out in Magna. There was a lot of talk about wagoning through the mud to get to your school, and so it wasn't school buses, we're going to pay someone to drive a wagon, and so it was very interesting. That's how Granite started. So people say, how did Granite get so big? It's very easy when you add a subdivision to just keep adding it little by little. One day you wake up, it's 70,000 students. That's not a deliberate choice, that's just how it goes. And so that's why in the West, you have much larger districts, whereas if you go back east, I started reading, the old classic Reddit forums, and multiple people said, I moved to Utah and I can't believe how the districts are. We used to have districts in each town had its own district built around one high school. And so he's like, that's how it was. Your high school was the district, a lot of local control, a lot of local focus. But the bigger point I want to make is there's a lot of ways to do this, a lot. And a lot of ways to structure the district and to fund a district. One that sticks out to me is Murray District, just right next door to us, has 5,000 students. One high school, filtering down through the feeders. Small district. If you're ever bored at night, search, Reddit, should I move to Murray District? And you'll read a lot of people singing praises of Murray District and the local control and the feel of Murray. So these are the elementary schools. If you remember when we started, it was Holladay, Millcreek schools. Millcreek, Holladay, you can round robin it however you want. If we're going that broad, we're actually looking at more schools. So these are all the schools that are in Holladay and Millcreek. These are the elementary schools. So we added, Moss and Lincoln and Walker and Wilson. So there's more schools, and these are all in Millcreek's boundaries go down really weird, and so they have pieces in all those areas. I also want to point out the junior highs and high schools. So this isn't just about the elementaries, this is about the schools in general. So these are the junior highs on the one side, and these are the senior high schools on the right. So these are schools, we love the schools, they're amazing schools, they have amazing teachers. I can't say enough. I love working at my elementary with my kids and working there. So those are our schools we're talking about. So like I said, we're here because of the boundary study, we're concerned about the boundary study, but that's not the only problem at schools. I mean, at the Skyline one especially, there was a lot of House bills going at that time. People were really frustrated about teacher pay and how teachers are being treated. That's a big concern. Some people are talking about the buildings and the condition of the buildings. People are talking about Chromebooks in class. People are talking, you talk to anybody and the list goes on and on of concerns they have, split classes, all these different things. So we're told, we should come up with creative solutions, and we're told to let our representative know. So this is Granite District. Way out there is Kennecott Copper Mine, Copperton, and it goes all the way up Immigration Canyon to the top of Immigration. Our representative is Julie Jackson in this district right here. She's a representative of 16 schools. So 10 of them are potentials for closures. And so when you go to her with advice or ideas, she's in a tough spot because how do you represent 10? How do you argue for Eastwood when the next door neighbor is arguing against Eastwood and you cover them both? It's a tough position to be in. Just for the record, I meant to say this, pause. There's been rumors that we did this meeting on purpose because it's the same night of the board meeting. That's not true. It's really hard to find space. I actually sat on Julie Jackson's back porch for 3 hours on Friday, and we chatted through all this stuff. So I have nothing to hide. There is nothing. I'm meeting with Ben Horsley on Tuesday. So this is not some secretive thing. At this meeting, I said invite whoever you want. This is a community thing. If the community wants it, let's do it. If they don't, they don't. This is not my thing. This is just an idea. So there's your district. So you can see within that district, I mean, just in Holladay and Millcreek, you have like Holladay Millcreek people telling 10 representatives from your cities in that one section of that one school representative. So you have a lot more city representation than you have of district representation. So what that says is the people deciding whether your school closes or not, and they're not bad people, they're good people, but they're just doing what's best for this gigantic group. One lives in Davis County, one lives in Utah County, and one lives right there. So that's not great representation where I live, the way I see it. And so for me, I say, who can I talk to solve these problems? Not just the school closures, because remember, the demographics is a real thing. So that we do what we're talking about here. There may need to be a school closed, but I'd like more say. I'd like someone fighting for my area. So Granite School District, 83 schools, 56 elementaries, 15 junior highs, 8 high schools, 4 specialty schools, total enrollment 58,000, serves a population of 394,000, encompasses 257 square miles. So it was talked about at our Skyline meeting. People said, why don't we get everybody else in the state to vote the way we vote so we can pay our teachers more? That's a hard ask. That's a big, I wasn't sure why I wanted to take this on. That's a whole nother potato. But the beauty is if you ask city representatives, in your own city you get a vote for a lot of these things, and you get your own needs and wants are represented when you have a smaller unit that you're working with. So that's Granite School District. So our idea, and it's been alluded to, is talking about splitting the district. I don't even like to say splitting the district. I'm going to say create a new district. That's technically what would happen. That's how the law works. A city creates a new district. The reason a city creates a new district is because it's a vehicle for representation. So in the state, if you want to do something, the only vehicle we really have is our city representatives, because they represent us. If you go broader than that, it's too broad, and it doesn't work that way. So if you see, you have Skyline in blue, you have Olympus in green, and you have Cottonwood in yellow. If it were my opinion, I'm just giving my opinion, people can tweak this however they want. Holladay has the power to become their own district. They could vote today, at their city council meeting, they could vote to follow this process, they could become their own district, all the schools within their boundaries are theirs, and they could say, tough all you green Olympus that's off in the distance, like we have Olympus, we're doing our thing. That is legal, that is law, they can do that. Millcreek can do it, and South Salt Lake can do it. It used to be restricted to the size of your city. It is no longer the size. Any city can do it. And there's districts like Tintic District that has 300 kids in it. So that is not unheard of. It's very common back east, 300 kid districts. That's not a weird thing. So they could do that. The reason I like the idea of Holladay, Millcreek, and South Salt Lake coming together and forming what's called an interlocal agreement is that it almost perfectly matches with the boundaries of the 3 high schools. And all that crosstalk you get in that section of Millcreek and the different things, it kind of fades away. So there are some details that can be worked out. Like you've got that school. Why do I not remember? Someone knows what that school is right there. No, it's Woodstock. Woodstock is, but that can be dealt with agreements. You just do an agreement with Murray. The stuff happening in Alpine right now, that's very common. So I like that. That gives, this district would be 25 total schools, 15 elementaries, 7 junior highs, and 3 high schools. Total enrollment is around 15,000 and representing a population of 118,000. So you go from representing 400,000 to 118,000. So you get almost a 4x increase in representation. what would happen in the case of a new school district is those groups would come together, and the city councils would come together, and they would commission a feasibility study. Feasibility studies cost about $50,000, and what that would do is that would be an outside party, and they would gather all the property tax data, they'd look at all the schools, they'd look at the bond data. One of the things people say about the new district, is they say we'd have to pay for Skyline. Not true. The debt on the books of the district gets split based on population, because we partially built Granger. It's really hard to say that was for Skyline. The bond was way more than Skyline. So you would just take the percentage. To me, it looks like we're about a quarter of the district, and you take a quarter of the debt. That's how it works. This is all codified in law. This is not me making stuff up. And so they would vote to do that feasibility study. What the feasibility study does for us is there's a lot of rumors that the west side subsidizes us, we subsidize the west side. We don't even have to go there. The feasibility study will just tell us that. I would argue, if the west side is subsidizing us, I will go to the west side and tell them to split from us. Because I don't want anyone to subsidize anyone. I think government is powerful when you represent your own taxes, and you can make your own decisions. So, but either way, somebody say, what if it came out that we subsidize them? We got our own problems up here. They're closing our schools. And we got a ton of old schools. So it's not like we're just have money coming out of our eyeballs. We got problems up here that we got a bunch. I was told we got a bunch of split classes. I can only speak for Rosecrest. We're probably going to have split classes here. But many of them are. So going back, they do the feasibility study. It takes about 30 days. And then what would happen is, and there's laws around this, the three entities, if you're going with the three, I'm just saying, that's my opinion, you go whatever direction you want. If you're going with the three, they would present it at essentially 3 meetings. One's like a council meeting, one can have comments, one's just a presentation. They present the data they find and to the community. And then what happens is they decide to vote whether we can vote. So I'm talking about starting a process that's going to end up where we just get to vote. And it could be that you get the feasibility study and you go, Taylor's an idiot, this is garbage for us, I don't want it, don't do it. Or we get to the feasibility study and we go, this looks awesome, this could solve a lot of our problems, this helps us control our own destiny. We could, if you notice at one of the meetings, Julie, someone got up and said, can we just raise our taxes and pay our teachers more? She said we could, but the other side of the district wouldn't like that. Well, you're suddenly your own city, maybe you can. You know, I mean, I've read a lot of studies about people are much more willing to do bonds when it's for their direct community. Whereas when it goes really far away, they're much more leery about, I don't even know where that's going, I don't know who's using the funds, I've never even seen that school. It's much more likely to pass a bond when it's in your direct community. So that second meeting's held, like I said, they vote for the resolution, and on November 4th, we get to vote. I'll be honest, there's a place where I get my way, everything's amazing, we get to the vote. The citizens of the city could just say, no, we don't want it. We're scared of raised taxes, whatever the reason is. We don't have kids, we don't care. Like Steve Hogan said, you know, they hate kids or whatever, what his reasoning was. And we're no worse off. But if they do vote for it, November 4th, the district becomes null and void. So Granite District is no more. There's a district, this is getting a little inside baseball, but a new entity is created that's made to separate the district. And then what happens is, this happens with the county. The county would then assign people, they would start splitting into new precincts. So that area I talked about would get split into 7 precincts by population. And so that area that had 2.5 representatives would now have 7. They would be elected from their areas. We're used to this. We do it in cities all the time. And then they would elect a new school board. Well, there would be, getting ahead of myself. In 2025, we'd vote. It would lock the district. In 2026, we would vote for a new school board. While this is happening, Granite District would just keep, what was Granite District by law has to keep providing educational services. A new board would be elected 2026 November. Then they would be seated in June of that next year, and they would hire a superintendent. They would put together the district, and I want to say June. I have a timeline later. In 2028, there would be a switchover and we'd go live and we'd be our own district with our own representation, so that when you have a problem, what I love, and it drives my representative crazy, she may disagree, but I'm just going to say it, is, and she's here so we can laugh together, but I get to go to Smith's at the grocery store and I see her there. And she says, how's it going with the permits with Millcreek City? No, they're good now, but they weren't for a little bit. And we get to have a little conversation at Smith's because I have a representative that covers my area, a little tiny area. How cool would it be to have a representative that covers 2 elementaries? And so when they're saying, hey, maybe we're going to close, I'll just say Crestview because it's my brother's school. They're going to close Crestview. He has a representative that covers 2 schools that can go to those board meetings and fight for Crestview. And I don't mean fight in like a mean way. I mean, make a good argument that has voting power and can say, no, this is an amazing community. They're fine with 250 kids. We'll deal with split passes. We'll figure it out. We love our school. We want it. But they could also say, yeah, it's horrible. The community hates it. 250 is the worst. We're going to work together with our neighboring school, and we're going to come up with a solution. I find that when things are done that way, there's a lot more buy-in from the community when you're figuring out together, rather than someone coming to you and saying, hey, Penn, we closed Millcreek. You get the DLI program. You're getting 600 kids. You're going to end up at 600 kids. Deal with it. Four DLI programs per grade. That's a tough sell. So let me keep going. Proposed timeline. So now I just want to go through a couple of questions people would have about this. So what about the students? What if my kid, I go to another school? I don't live. Open enrollment is a state law. So as long as there's room in a school, it actually doesn't make any difference. So if you live outside the district, when the new district's created, you are still allowed to special permit into that school as long as there's room. The beautiful thing about up here is there's a lot of room at a lot of schools, and so you're not going to have a problem with that. For special needs kids, it's a guarantee. You guarantee 5 years, and that's after when it closes from 2028. So that's guaranteed. And the way it is right now with open enrollment, that's schools want students, and so that's. And the other thing I'll stress is 15,000 is a big district. So this is not some shoestring scene we're talking about here. So what about teachers? I love teachers. I think teachers are the greatest. I'm kind of more of a fan of, I go to my school, I'm kind of more of a fan of that, like maybe we raise our taxes a little bit so we can pay our teachers more, or maybe we don't build $200 million schools and we figure out how to make that go to our teachers. Instantly the district will say to you, but that's bond money, it's different. It came from the public. It just came a different way. We can find out. We can tweak that. So I get it. There's some details about how money can be spent. But I thought the old school was cool, the old Olympus, and I'd love to give that money to my teacher instead. Little anecdote about this. I went to a performance at one of the schools, and I watched this mother bring in these 4 little kids, and I saw them, and it was just for the performance, it was odd, and I kind of started talking to them, because I have a bunch of little kids, and I was kind of like, hey, what's the deal? Why are you guys here? What? And they said, well, that's our dad, the teacher leading the performance. And I said, well, awesome. I said, so do you ever get to see him, or is he always off at school super early? They said, no, sometimes we drive him up so we can have the car. They drive from West Jordan, their dad, an amazing teacher, in one of our schools. We got to figure out how to pay that guy more money. And when I asked the district about it, they say, we can't do that. Our system doesn't allow it. And to me, come on, we can figure that out. When you're your own district, you get to choose. So teachers, a big one I get, everybody says, what about economies of scale? You'll see on our website, we're going to keep posting more information. There's a lot of studies that show a diseconomies of scale, where economies of scale have a benefit, and then they start getting, then bureaucracy becomes bloated. One of the things, this is one from the 2022 Performance Audit of Administrative Costs for the Utah Legislature. That's for schools. Some of the lowest administrative costs per students are among the mid-size and large districts. Notice they designate this mid-size and large, 20,000. We're in a district with 57,000, so that's jumbo. And so we find in those places. The other interesting thing for the people from the city here is because the city, there's a lot of cities that they actually share services with the city. So just like you have interlocal agreements, the cities a lot of times will use unified fire instead of doing their own fire program. There's a lot of crosstalk. You look at small towns especially, there's a lot of crosstalk between between cities and schools. So as an example, the people that mow the lawns at the parks could mow the schools. The police force, they already do some of this with the police force, but you could have the police force where they're working in the schools and in Millcreek City or Holladay City. So there's a lot of economies that can be shared. But I'd also say a lot of people, when I talk to them about this, they point to the charter schools. I mean, love them or not, they're really small and they seem to be doing well. So they're figuring it out. Because what's amazing is just like you at your dinner table, anybody, when you're making decisions, so sometimes I get a little frustrated because I'm at those meetings. And what I joke with my wife about is it's like I come home from work and I go, honey, I didn't get my bonus this year. We can't buy the Escalade, so we're just going to have no car. It's like, well, there's a used Suburban we could get. There's other options. And so sometimes the perfect is getting in the way of what we're okay with. So it's like, yeah, we get it, our school's old, but we love our school, so let's just make do. Let's figure it out. With the district, the problem is it's so big and everything's equalized that versatility becomes really hard. And I had one mother say to me, she's like, I just don't think we're agile enough as a district to deal with some of these problems we're dealing with. So the next question is like, how do we do this? What's the cost of action? It's like, this sounds good, Taylor, or Taylor's an idiot, you walk home, you watch your next show tonight. But you can say, what can I do? So one thing you can do is you can call or email your local representatives. This is Millcreek City. You notice I talked about South Salt Lake. I think South Salt Lake's one to bring in. I've talked to 2 of the council members down there. The one I talked to today was really excited about this. If you study South Salt Lake's school situation, they've gotten absolutely gutted. Their schools, and they're worried about more closures, and they have very few schools left. And what you kind of find is when the schools close, the families kind of leave. And so this council member was kind of like, hey, you pulled my ear. Like, I understand this. And we felt like, they're a small little city. And they're like, I'd love this. It was a soft answer. He wasn't saying I could speak for everybody, but he was excited about it. So we want to bring South Salt Lake in. The reason it's Millcreek and Holladay now is just because the thrust of this is those 10 school closures. I think that's what most people are thinking about. So these are links to, and we'll have more on this on the website, and we'll post this to Instagram. Reach out to your representative. Tell them your thoughts. Tell them what you're looking at. They're the ones that can represent you because they represent your area. So there's those. You can go to the city council meetings and you can advocate. So go. We've sent information to all the city council members and mayors of both cities, and I've sent it to the South Salt Lake members that I've already talked to. I sent the information to them. They were excited to get it. City council meetings are another opportunity to go speak as a member of the city. And then you can also get involved. So we've had fun doing this all ourselves for now, but it'd be fun to have people help us. We're looking for some people with these different skills, but also people that just can help out however. Just so you know, if this does go forward, there's a period where it's the feasibility study. We then get the feasibility study, and then we go, okay, this looks good. It then has to go on the ballot. So it becomes public for the whole 118,000 people, and it's a job. And so we could work together on that. So that's what a lot of this. One thing we'd love to see is we'd love to see school captains or represented from each school that can kind of coordinate with their own school. Some of these skills, because this is a big job. What I will say is one of my main concerns is right now they haven't announced any schools. And so there's some schools, in my opinion, having followed the last 2, I followed the one that was over out of Granger, all the elementaries, the 3 elementaries, they closed there. Having read the tea leaves, I've got my own opinions, and I think some of the schools are more asleep than they should be about this. And what's going to happen is in August they'll announce, but the chance to do the feasibility study's already passed, and you got to wait a whole nother year. And so my attitude is, why not try? Why not get the feasibility study, get the information, so that when your school does get announced to be closed and you really get motivated, you already have the pieces in place to then get it on the ballot and have the conversation. And that's my point more than anything is, I'm a believer in democracy. I don't want to ramrod people. I don't want to give people things that they don't want. But if the people want it, let's look at it. Let's explore it. This is an option. It would for sure stop the closures. The closures may still come. If the demographic data keeps going, that's a conversation we got to have as a community, but the thing I love is we're making that decision as a community. We're making that decision directly close to us, and that's something I look forward to. And then, more than anything,
I think this can be the best district in the state. I think.